Welcome to our first class of Python for mobile app development. In this class, I'm going to be showing you how you'll be able to build a calculator app, which you can later on also deploy on your mobile phone as an application. So if you have no experience, it's totally fine. Just you have to make sure that you do not skip any part of this class because it's going to be very important for you, and it's also going to help you in the long term if you want to get into application development. Now, another thing you have to keep in mind is that when we are building an application using Python, which is specifically for mobile devices, we have to use specific, let's say, libraries and extensions. So without any further ado, let's open up any IDE that you have, but I'm going to be using PyCharm. So let's open up PyCharm on our device. So as you can see from my screen, I have opened up PyCharm on my device. Now, the next thing that you basically have to do over here is you have this file called venv, which I specifically defined as the virtual environment in my first class. So what you want to do is make sure you have this venv, which is the library root, then right click on it and click on new. Here I'm going to create a directory, which I'm going to name as the calculator. Okay, hit on enter, and there you go. We have the calculator file inside of the venv, or the virtual environment. Then I'm going to right click on calculator again, click on new, and I'm going to create my Python file, which I'm also going to name it as calculator. Hit on enter, and you will see calculator.py file has been created. Now you can see there are a couple of IDE errors, as you can see over here. Now I'm going to report and clear all, and there we go. You can see it has been submitted. Now the next thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that you have installed Kivy on your device, because whenever you are working with an interactive GUI application developed using Python, you have to make sure that Kivy and KivyMD has been installed on your device. Now there are two specific methods of how you'll be able to install Kivy and KivyMD. One is going to be the shell method, or let's say the terminal method. Now you can open up terminal over here. Now you can see we have the local, and this is how it will look like. Now here you want to type in pip install, then type in KivyMD. This is exactly what you want to type in. And before typing any of these values, what you have to make sure is that you have pip installed on your device. If you do not have pip installed on your device, it's not going to work. But one thing is that this is, let's say, the easiest and the coded method of how you'll be able to install Kivy and KivyMD on your device. So if you hit on enter, you might even sometime face a couple of errors. But if you have installed pip perfectly and it has been successfully installed on your device, then it will show up as it has been done successfully. Okay, so you can see this is how it is exactly looking like. You can see there's a couple of caches, and at the end, this is where or how it is going to look like, and it's going to install a lot of these values. You can see that it has been installed successfully. Now you want to close off the terminal, and how are you going to make sure that it has been installed, or these indexes, or let's say libraries, have been installed? What you want to do is you have to make sure that the indexing has been done properly first, and then click on this interpreter settings again. Go off to interpreter settings, and if you see that there are a lot of these files called Kivy, Kivy Garden, Pigments, Certify, and also search for KivyMD, and this is where it is going to show up. Okay, so that means that Kivy and KivyMD has been installed successfully. Now if we remove, or if you try to remove, we can also select all of the things except for PIP. So let's just install and show you the secondary method of how you'll be able to install any of these libraries or interpreters. So click on, let's say this one, in uninstall or delete. So if you click on this, you'll basically see that it will all be deleted in just a bit of time. You can see it's just discovering, uninstalling modules and all of those. And in just a bit, it will remove everything that you have installed just by using the terminal over here. Okay. And I'm also going to be showing you the next method or the other step of how you'll be able to add an interpreter. Okay. So that is also quite simple and you're going to do it directly from here. You can see Kivy has successfully been uninstalled. Okay. So even if we try to type in or import Kivy over here, it will not work properly. So the secondary method of installing these interpreters or libraries is very simple. Make sure you are in this panel, click on this plus icon over here. Now, when you click on this plus icon over here, it is very simple. So just type in Kivy. And if you click on Kivy over here, click on specify version, press on install package. Then it will take a bit of time, just like I've shown you in my previous class of how I installed pip on my device and updated my pip version. But the pip version is already like installed by default when you have PyCharm and Python installed on your device. So it is also quite simple, but if you don't have it, this is how you will be able to install it. Then you're gonna, in the same way, you're gonna search for KivyMD. If we remove it over here, you can see still there are a couple of things missing. So if I install, you can see there is no KivyMD. So I can also click on specify version and click on install package. We're going to wait for a bit. You just have to make sure that you have a stable internet connection. And there you go. You can see we also have KivyMD successfully installed on my PC. So these are the two like simple methods, and whichever one you prefer using, you can go ahead and try typing it. Okay. Now the next step is obviously creating the Python file and setting up the KivyMD app structure. So start off with from, okay? From KivyMD. When you type in KivyMD, then put in .app. This will allow KivyMD to structurize where it is from. So I'm going to put in KivyMD.app, and here I'm going to import it. Import and type in MD app. If it is suggested to you, that means Kivy has been successfully installed on your device. In the same way, I'm going to put in the Kivy language, Kivy.language. There we go. I'm going to import builder. Now, the specific reason why we are using builder, it allows for cross-platform compatibility. Okay. Now, whenever you want to customize and structurize your Kivy application, it is basically very simple. You basically start off with KV over here. KV is going to be equal, then put in 3 double quotation. This will allow you to put in all of the commands inside this structure. Okay, I'm going to put in MD as screen. MD screen, then put in a colon and then move on to the next line. There we go, MD screen. Now make sure to put in tab so that it goes a bit off the indentation level. Okay, so here we're going to start customizing our Kivy file. So the Kivy file is basically very simple to customize. So first thing that we want to do is we want a box layout. So I'm going to put in MD and then put in box layout. Okay, colon, move on to the next line, and then put in the orientation. There we go. Colon, next line, double quotation, and then put in vertical. Okay, then move on to the next line. And here on the orientation level, I'm going to put in MD and then put in text field. Okay, so text field, colon, move into the next line. And here in this indentation level, I'm going to put in ID. In the ID, I'm going to define my display, which should show up. Now, after that, I'm going to put in the text variable. Text should be double quotation. Inside, I'm going to put in 0. In the next section, I'm going to put in horizontal alignment. There we go. H align for horizontal alignment. Double quotation. Here, I'm going to put in, it should be on the right. On the next one, I'm going to put in the font size, colon, double quotation. I'm going to put in 49 SP, double quotation. And the last thing that I'm going to put in is all of these buttons should only be read only. So you don't, or you won't be able to customize the buttons. So I'm going to put in read only. This is how you want to put in, and then how you want to make sure it is going to work or not work is using the Boolean value true or false or 0 or 1. If you want to put in 0, make sure to put in with double quotation, but here I'm going to just put in true, which is going to make it a bit more simple and easier to customize. Now, the next thing that I want to put in is going to be the grid layout, which is going to work and customize each and every one of the buttons that is going to appear up inside of the GUI. So I'm going to put in grid layout, colon, moving to the next line. I'm going to start off with the column numbers, and the columns should be, let's say, 4 columns is going to be perfect. Then I'm going to apply in a bit of spacing, colon. In the next line, I'm going to put in, let's say, 5 dp, which is going to measure with the displaying pixels. And then I'm going to put in a bit of space in between them. So I'm going to put in the padding function, double quotation, and here I'm going to put in 10 dp in between each and every one of these buttons. After that, move on to the next section, which is also going to be in the same indentation level as the padding on the last line. Here, I'm going to create a section by putting in the hash command. So I'm going to start off customizing my buttons. So I'm going to put in buttons, move on to the next line. I'm going to put in MD rectangle flat button, colon, move into the next line. I'm going to put in text, colon, move into the next step. And here I'm going to put in, let's say, 7 to be my first button. I'm going to put in on release. Release. I'm going to put in, let's say, app on button, app dot on dot button underscore press. Okay. I'm going to put in press, open parentheses, double quotation. And by pressing on 7, it should be, or let's say it should apply 7 on the text section. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. In the same way, I'm going to create all of these buttons. So if you want to make it easier, you can just copy this, Control C. There we go. Now, as we have 4 columns, so in each column, I'm going to apply 4 of these buttons. So that should be very simple. There we go. We have 7 over here. So MD rectangle flat button. The next one should be 8. Over here, I'm also going to make sure to put in 8. In the same thing here, instead of 8, I'm going to put in 9. Same way, 9 over here. And the last one should be the divide button, which is going to be the /. There we go. Okay. Now, as there has been defined 4 columns, so I'm not going to apply another section right over here. Instead, I'm going to create another section so that I can apply another 4 of these values. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So instead of 7, I'm going to start off with 4, 5, 6, and then multiplication. So here 4 over here. Here it should be 5. There we go. Here it should be 6. And here it's going to be, let's say, asterisk, which is going to define the multiplication. So that is also quite simple to apply. In the same way, I'm going to move on to the next section. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So there we go. We have another 4 of these, which is going to define 1, 2, 3, and then minus. So let's start off with the first one. 1. It should be 2. 3 over here. And here I'm going to put in, let's say, minus value. There we go. Okay. So we have all of these minus buttons. Now, the next thing that we have to apply is going to be, let's say, the cancel button, or let's say the clear button. And then also there's going to be, let's say, a button to calculate the results and an on button press, which is going to work as the plus button. Okay, so now there's going to be a couple of changes on this next section, but first things first, I'm going to apply these same things. 3, 4. Okay, so the first button on this column should be C. Okay, as we are using C over here, it should clear out the display. So in the same way, here on release, we have app on button press. Okay, so what you want to do is put in app.clear display. So I'm going to remove all of these. Clear underscore display. Okay, so when you have display, it should not display anything. So what you want to do is you want to keep it empty. So this is how it should appear up. In the same way, so after C, we're going to apply the 0 button. So I'm going to put in 0 and it should show me 0 over here. Okay, now after the 0, the next thing that I want to apply is going to be the equal button. So I'm going to put in equal. So after this app, which you can see app on button press, it should calculate the result. So in the same way, I'm going to cut all of this off. Calculate underscore result. In the same way, I'm going to keep it empty because the answer is not going to be anything specific. And the last one, I'm going to put in the plus value, as you can see. So here, put in the plus. So there we go. We have all of these done. So we are done customizing our buttons and also representing them inside of the GUI. Now we're going to apply in a class. Class calculator. You can see CalculatorApp. There we go. Open up parentheses. Here, I'm going to put in MD app. Okay, colon, moving to the next line. And here you have to define the build. So put in def. You can see build self. Move on to the next line. Here you want a return value. After return value, what you want to do is you have to put in the builder.load for compatibility. Builder, then put in dot load underscore. I'm going to put in string. Open parentheses. I'm going to put in KV because we are using Kivy. Next section, I'm going to put in def on. I'm going to put in on button press. So put in button press. Okay, this is how it should be. Open up the parentheses as self, comma, and then put in the specific value, which is going to be empty in this case. Moving to the next line, I'm going to put in display over here. Here I'm going to put in equal, and then I'm going to put in self.root. After self.root, you have to put in the IDS and then put in dot display. Okay. In the next section, you have to define the if and the else function. If the display text is double equal, double quotation 0, as you can see over here, put in a colon over here. Here, I'm going to put in display.text. Okay, display.text is equal to the text value. Okay, so I'm going to put in value over here. Now, let's apply the else function. Else colon, I'm going to put in the display text again. Display, then put in dot text. It should be plus or equal to a specific value, right? So that is it. Now I'm going to move on to the next section on the definition indentation level. Here I'm going to calculate or give the result. So put in def calculate underscore result. Open parentheses and give in the self value. Here I'm going to put in the display over here. Display is going to be equal to put in self dot root dot ids dot display. Okay, here inside of the display, I'm going to apply a try function. Inside of try, I'm going to put in the display text. Display dot text value is going to be equal double quotation error. Now, when we try to, let's say, apply a clear display, it's going to be a bit different. Okay, so first thing inside of try, there's going to be a specific string. Okay, so instead of this, I'm going to apply a next section. I'm going to put in except. This is how it should be. Inside of try, I'm going to put in display dot text should be equal to str open parentheses. I'm going to put in evaluation. Inside of evaluation, you should put in the display text. So here, I'm going to put in display dot text. As you can see, now it will buffer a bit better. Now you want to close off two of these parentheses because it is unsafe in real world applications. Okay, so there we go. We have the error if it doesn't work properly. And then the last section that we want to create, let's move on to the next section. Here, I'm going to put in the clear display. So here, I'm going to put in def clear display, open parentheses. There we go. Inside of self, I'm going to put in self dot root dot ids dot display text. Display dot text. Okay, equal double quotation 0 again. Now in the last section, I'm going to apply the if function, and I'm going to make sure all the thing is running in a specific loop. So if I put in if underscore, I'm going to put in name to underscore again, and it should be double equal to double quotation, double underscore, and put in the main value. There we go. Now, when you can see, this is how it is. You can see I can run the application very easily. I'm going to put in CalculatorApp. So the name of this app is CalculatorApp, and this is how it should exactly work. Okay, so the last thing that you want to do is you want to run the application. If you want to run the application, there is also two-step method of how you can run the application. One is going to be from the terminal, which is very simple. When you want to run anything, first off, you want to type in just Python and then define the name of the application that you created, which is calculator.py. Now, if you run into some errors, it's totally fine because we can fix it. And the terminal is also going to show us in which line we have errors and where to fix. Hit on enter and you can see can't open file. No file or directory. If you cannot, it's also totally fine because when you can just click on this run calculator py, this is how it is going to look like. But you can see we have the process finished with exit code 0. When it says that it has finished with exit code 0, then there is a bit of problem on these lines. So I'm going to check out these lines. There we go. We have the build over here. And you can see initialize the application. It will be called only once if method runs with a widget tree. Okay. So one of the most easiest method of actually, fixing up all of these things is that how you'll be able to basically just, apply the whole thing back together again. So one thing that you can do is copy all of these things. As you can see, we have the dispatch over here. We want to make sure to close this off because we do not want that extra stuff, which is going to make it a bit more complicated. Just press on Control A and then click on Debug Calculator. When you click on this, you will find another security alert. Just click on Allow Access. When you click on Allow Access, you want to close off the app.py and also the test issue. Now, the simple method is just press on Control X to remove all of these things and paste it back together again. So if we paste it, this is how it should look like. You can see we have to also apply in the run value, and then we can just run the whole thing together. And there we go. We have the GUI inside or on your screen. So this is how simple it is. And another thing is that you can also make sure to customize it. And the reason why it is like this is because you will also be able to utilize on your mobile phone. Okay, so let's check it out if the whole thing actually works and if it has the functionalities. 7 into 2 is, let's say, 14, right? There we go. Now, there are also a couple of things that we can just, customize. Let's say in this case, we're going to check out the asterisk sign. Let's check this out. There we go. We have the text asterisk. Now, what we can also do is that we can apply an X over here, and it is going to work as this. But we can also cut this off. But the main thing is it should work as the function. So let's just try playing the whole thing again. There we go. It is still showing up as this. I'm going to close this off. X. Now play the whole thing again. There we go. It is still working at that. Okay. So what we basically have to do is we have to check out all of these. And another thing that I can do is we can save up the file. Press on Control S. It has been saved. And if we run the whole thing back again, 6 into 6 should be 36, right? There we go. So this is exactly how the whole application should work. We can also check out more. If you click on C, it should cancel out the whole thing. Now, let's just check out more of these. Let's say 8 divided by 2 should be 4, right? There we go. Now we have decimal values. Clear it out. We also have to check out minus 9 minus 6. There we go. It is 3. We also have plus 3 should be 6. Clear it out. 30 divided by 6 minus 6 plus equal. And there we go. We have the exact value. So this is how simple it is of how you'll be able to create a mobile application using Kivy or KivyMD in Python. And the most easiest thing and the most, let's say, advantageous thing is that you don't even have to, change any of these codes, even if you want to run the whole thing on your phone. So this is how simple it is. You can also take it into a web application so that you can check out the compatibility on your phone. So thank you for watching this video up till the very end and hope you understood about everything in this class. If you still have any confusion or any question about any part of this lesson, feel free to ask me anytime. I'm always there to help you out. So without any further ado, let's move on to our next class of Python for mobile application development. And obviously, make sure not to skip any part of these classes because it's going to be very important for you even in the long run.